Hello everybody, and thanks so much for spending 30 minutes of your precious time to log in with us on our first webinar. We are novices on this, aren't we, Meg?
That's right.
So here we go. We're novices, but we have got lots to talk to you about today on behalf of the IFG La Cité des Langues, our first webinar. First, let's go for introductions. So, Meg, talk to me about yourself and give us your beautiful East Coast American accent.
Here it goes. Jenny, my name is Meg Woodward. I've been a teacher for over 20 years. I've been happily working at IFG La Cité des Langues for the past couple of years, really enjoying it. As you can all hear, I'm from New England, so yes, I speak fast. Yes, I pronounce that R.
Good. So we will try and not compete with our accents, and we will really try to speak clearly so that not only you have a good time listening to our subject matter, but also you can try to hear the difference in accents. Because yes, my name is Jenny Ferraris, and I am very obviously a British citizen. You can tell with the differences in our accent. As for me, I think I've probably spent the last 100 years trying to convince companies, French companies, that it is rather important that they improve their staff's language skills. So that's a little bit why we're here and why we work together. Okay, but now it's become more and more important in that, okay, if you want to choose a new person to join your staff, maybe the language skill is obligatory, but even more important now, people keep their jobs, but they need to have a certain specific level in languages. You know more than I do about that, Meg. You spend your day in companies.
Yes, I do. I spend my day in different companies, and it's true that now with globalization, with working globally, people not only need to get a certain level, they need to maintain their level, and if they want to, improve their career or even keep, as you said, Jenny, their present job, they absolutely have to have a certain English level.
Doesn't she speak fast? But this is the
Everyone
American accent. but this is good practice for you guys.
It's for your ear.
Very, very brief background on who we are and what we try to do every day, what you try to do every day. La Cité des Langues, we belong to the group IFG now. We belong to it for over a year. And we started our language training, would you believe it, in the hometown of Savoie, because the ski instructors many, many years ago, over 30 years ago, they realized that when they actually said, Fête de la chasse-neige, that nobody understood what they were talking about. So we came and we started to create different specific methods for the people, the ski instructors in Val d'Isère, to be able to communicate, because communicate, that's what it's all about. That's this right. Idea of communication.
That's right, with pleasure.
Absolutely. But now the Cité des Langues IFG, we are present in Paris, obviously, in Bordeaux, good wine, in Lyon,
good food,
and also obviously in our hometown. So we've grown, but now we've got the same, let's say we've got the same awareness wherever we are, this idea of improving communication. Yeah?
That's right.
The first thing I would like to say is what's useful. What would you consider useful? That's something we're going to talk about, Meg.
Yeah, I call it a good working knowledge, meaning people are able to attend meetings, give a basic presentation, ask questions, which is usually the most challenging, and feel comfortable.
Okay, this is it. So, but Meg, do we really need English training in companies? Can we be franco-français and remain speaking French and we're in France and why do we have to speak a foreign language? Is this still the deal?
Unfortunately for French people, no. We absolutely have to speak English and French in companies, and it's true that 20 years ago when I started teaching, it was exceptional to have to speak English in French companies. And most people tell me, they say, Meg, if I had known, I would have had to speak English. In this company, I wouldn't have joined this French company. So it's true that now they have to, they know it, they work hard, but it's true, it's absolutely necessary now to speak English and so to have training.
Excellent. So this is it. Now we have accepted that speaking English is a major part of skills, communication skills, but necessary skills to hold down a job or to gain a job. Consider also the fact that it was considered before that you needed 400 hours of learning English to be able to go up a level. When I say go up a level, I'm always talking about the European level. So if you're an A1, you need 400 hours. But this is not the case, because 400 hours was when we belonged, when we were at school. There were 35 people in a class.
I remember that.
This is no longer the case. The teaching we do now, or the coaching we do now, is more based on an individual level. Would you agree with that? The majority of your lessons?
I'd say it's really, especially when it's one-on-one, it really is custom-made, tailor-made.
Yeah.
We get the needs of the customer, and it's true that often we work directly on their material and their needs. Yeah,
so now it's been reduced to about, we talk about 80 hours, let's say, to gain a level. And that's very interesting for the companies, for you guys who are listening in to us, who are trying to decide, oh my goodness, what shall I do for the English training? Because now with these considerations taken into perspective, we can work more on the idea that we've got an 80-hour or even less to pick up a level. Okay, but Meg, what's the idea? Do human resources decide that we give English lessons only to please the employees, or is it something given to certain categories only? What's the objectives, generally speaking?
Yeah. In the past, it used to be given to only certain parts of the company, people who are traveling abroad. Now it's become much more accessible to everybody.
Yeah, so would you say that a useful level means that they can actually do their job in English?
Yes, I would say useful level, and you don't need, I said we need 6 tenses and about 50 vocabulary words, if you can believe it, to really have be able to work comfortably.
Okay, that's all very interesting. The sad news, of course, is that France actually figures 28th on the ranking list of language skills. France is in fact behind, should I let you know, it's behind countries like Spain, Portugal for their language skills in companies. So this is what we have devoted our life to, Meg. Would you agree on that? Right. So we've still got work to do. 28th on the ranking list has got to be improved, and that's what we try to work on. Just one other consideration is that companies decide, obviously, which staff can take language training, but now with the CPF, it's just a quick little snippet for you to note, passing, is that with the CPF, you can now actually, in an autonomous way, do it off your own back. You can choose, you can use your hours, and you can set up your language training. So this is something really useful and an interesting development.
More accessible to everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's not just put it in the company context, but an individual context too, okay? Right, general English, professional English, is there a difference for you when you're talking about that?
There's a difference, but mostly people need both. Oftentimes we prepare a presentation, a very specific presentation.
Yeah.
And people say, oh, Meg, the presentation went great, but they invited me to lunch and I couldn't talk about basketball.
I couldn't
talk
order
about
your cauliflower.
That's right. And it's true that we absolutely, people ask for both. And I'd say as a teacher, they need both.
So you said that whenever, whatever, if you're asked to do a business language training, you do include some of the general English stuff?
Yes.
Okay, now, so roi, what on earth does that mean? That's return on investment, of course. And this is probably one of the big things for you guys who are listening in, who actually work with human resources department. What do I get for my money? What do I get for my money with something which is quite nebulous, as is language training? It's something you just have to work on all the time. But I would say, if we just read through that with me, it does reinforce the appeal of a company. If a company has a certain measure of staff who actually speak excellent language skills, then this company can be considered internationalization. Do you agree on that?
And it doesn't increase the prestige. And when other companies know, because people
Mm-hmm.
talk,
Mm-hmm.
it attracts business as well.
It attracts business. That's very important. So we're talking about return on investment. Well, let's put it like this. If they didn't have the staff who could communicate with suppliers, for example, who couldn't communicate with colleagues, fellow colleagues in Germany or in Spain, then that would not be possible. So it's something.
They lose business.
They lose business. Okay. And so would you say that an English-speaking company just is considered as a more attractive company?
Of course, for customers and for people who are looking, especially young people, but not even young people, it's just more attractive on a human resources level.
I think so too. Morally, we've spoken about the moral issues or the image of a company, but here is something that we can never regret: financially. Each and every company obviously wants return on investment, but this is what we're here to talk about, really, except that we're very pleased that you can actually sit in and listen to us. We're here, in fact, to talk about a word which we're getting to accept and we're going to explain. Blended. What on earth does this mean? Is it a jungle? What does it mean, blended learning, Meg?
If we say it's a jungle, I say it's a very pleasant jungle.
Very good.
It's true. It's a blend. It's a mix. It's true that when you tell people you only have IT training, no one goes. So the company loses money. But when you give them both a real person, a real teacher, and the accessibility of blended learning, it's magic.
Okay, it's magic, says Meg.
That's what I see and I hear.
She says it's magic. So the blended learning, just so that you know, in French, they translate it formation mixte or hybride, whatever. It means you don't get only your teaching hours with Meg, which you no doubt will regret, but you will get both. And we're here to explain why you do need them both. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so efficiency and optimization. Just give me a run back of what you feel about the optimization.
Well, there are two kinds of optimization. There's the cost effectiveness for the company. There's the time effectiveness also for the person. So they have in-class training with me or with someone else. But then when they're on their commute on the way home or at weekends, they take out their phone and they can do their exercises. Half an hour. I say if they can do 20 minutes a day, which most of them do, I hear the difference. They have both, so it's cost effective and time effective for everybody.
Well, I would like to quote one of my colleagues who has actually set up a very interesting online platform, which is called My Cow. Very interesting. Yeah, it's a great name. Well done, Eric. It's a great name. And on My Cow, he actually based his idea on the fact that there's always been blended learning. Blended learning has always existed. When you were at school, there was not a sixth form exercise in class without the teacher saying, go home and do your homework. Don't come back to your class if you don't do your homework.
I remember that.
That's always been a form of blended learning.
That's true.
But now it's a more softer idea of blended learning.
More present, I think.
That's how we present it. And also something that we have to talk about, the environment. As professionals, because I consider that is what we are, well, we should be after 30 years of experience. I certainly hope so. We should be able to recognize the environment that is conducive to good learning.
That's right.
Some people are good with certain environments. Some people are not so good with certain environments.
It depends.
And that's kind of part of the job, to recommend and then to really suggest which articles, which stuff, which videos, which tools to start using. Okay, do you agree on that one, Meg?
And there is a wide range.
And there is a wide range. Here I'm listing the range for you, but obviously digital or mobile will explain on the later slide the difference. There's not that much a difference. Gamification, my goodness, gamification. I never even knew that word existed until a couple of months ago. Does it really exist?
Like video games in English.
Yeah, it's been made up. But okay, it's a new word, and as a new word, we in languages we always cater for change. So we will accept the word, and we will try to explain it to you in the later slide. So, is it tailor-made or a jungle? You've just explained.
For me, it's a tailor-made, delicious jungle.
Okay, and the other point that we would really like to talk to you about is teachers or coaches. I would really like us to go into this further. Or do we remain teachers, or have we something now added because of this aspect? And can we offer the same thing to adults and students? Is it the same public, or do we have to change? So here we are. That's what we're here. Blended learning. Is it the future of language training? I think you had a good roundup of that.
I'm convinced it is, for all the reasons we've talked about earlier, Jenny, meaning time efficiency, cost efficiency. People find it fun and varied and custom made.
Varied and custom made and time consuming. So why does still only 40% of companies use this idea of blended learning? I think it's because there are still incredible reticence with learners. Oh, I really prefer being with the teacher. I really only want to be with the teacher. But that is not the point, because in my opinion, the point is the teacher is absolutely irreplaceable. But the point is you need to practice. You will not get perfect. There is a very good English saying, practice makes perfect. So really, you've got to work on that one, and you've got to include it. As soon as you sign up for an English training, that is part and parcel. Do you agree with that one, Meg?
Absolutely, and it's true. The more tools we have, ironically, the more tools we have, there's thousands of them, the more people really need to see a human being.
Yes, that's it's quite paradoxical,
but it's true.
But there we go, it's true. And would you say this is more suited to students rather than adults?
I'd say both.
Okay, so teachers, you, us, we've got to be involved, and we've got to, it's changing our job. Your job title is going to change, May.
Yeah. Can I have a raise?
Oh, goodness me. She wants a raise. We'll talk about it later. Yeah, because that's, in fact, it's going to take up some of your time. It's going to use your time to be able to advise and to be able to suggest which are the best ways for Mr. Black to use, whereas Mrs. White, that would not be good for her. So you've got to spend this time.
But it adds to the interest of my job, and I think it adds to the efficiency of their experience.
Yeah, so we have to include this time.
Absolutely.
Okay. And there's lots of new things in languages. I've just mentioned the LMS, Learning Management System, which in the future, I suppose, can help all language schools optimize everything we're talking about. It is becoming more administratively wise, but that does not take anything away from the quality of the teaching hour. That's an important thing too. And do we need a pedagogical master? That is a new title for you.
Is that me?
Yeah, I reckon that could well be your new title.
Shall not pass. Yes.
Yeah.
I wouldn't use this term exactly, but it's true that there's the
That's
synergy.
That's a nice way of saying no. Yeah.
There's the synergy between the blending.
Yeah,
a synergy for everybody and efficient for everybody.
Yeah. Absolutely. So the idea, does blended learning really mean learning? Definitely.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
We at least agree on that one. So if we talk about digital or mobile, the difference, well, the difference is how you use this stuff you're working on. Digital learning exactly is any platform, any platform that you can use virtually, I suppose you could say. There's a word which is FOAD, Formation Ouverte à Distance. That's the only French words that I'm going to allow myself, because open training, I suppose. And it can be used on your computer, or you can download onto your mobile. So really, is that a question of generation, maybe, as people spend 23 hours of the day on their mobile phones. Is this the new tool that we have to consider?
And I've noticed more and more people, including myself, have a tendency to go directly on their mobile phone. They don't even go on their laptop anymore, because they're all often working in a train station, in a cafe. So it's true that the mobile phone is really a really easy tool to work on their English.
Okay, so it's a tool to work on
all ages.
All ages. So this is interesting. So gamification. Now, gamification quizzes. Okay, there are videos to watch, the exercises do, but this idea of quizzes and gamification is slightly new. And I'm happy to say that La Cité des Langues IFG, we've just invented a new quiz, which is a game, which is called Academ Quiz, and you play against one of your fellow students.
Everyone loves it.
Everyone loves it, and you can listen to questions, and also it's an excellent preparation for TOEIC, to get the best TOEIC score. It's not just fun. So what about this? This gamification, do you have to be competitive? Is it conducive to interesting learning, or is it really
brings out the competitive nature in people?
But is that a good thing in your
Absolutely,
opinion?
because it's true that it's when you're having fun, you remember easily, you retain much easily.
Okay.
And it's true that it's I think it brings out, it gives a good atmosphere also in a class. It links everyone together.
Okay, so this is an interesting.
It's very interesting. Again, for all ages.
Okay, well that's very interesting. Now, I know you're all getting hungry, so we are not going to use up too much of your time. Tailor-made or a jungle, I think we've actually made our point of what we think about that. It could be a jungle, but our job is to make it not so. And I think it's quite interesting for the teachers, the coaches, but I would like to look at this last point. Is it a new role for teachers, or preferably have you become coaches all of a sudden? Is it comparable to visiting a foreign country without the guidelines if you are not there?
That's true. It's true that the past 10 years, I'd say, often people have qualified me more as a coach than a teacher. So this is not a new phenomenon. I'd say the last 10 years, often I've considered myself more a coach than a teacher for the past 10 years. And it's true. It's like when you go to the Louvre with a guide and you go alone, let's admit it, it's not the same experience.
It's not the same.
You don't get the same thing out of it.
Yeah. So it's interactive. The interaction with the teacher is something that we cannot dismiss.
No, and it's true. If no one has any, again, human contact, they just don't do it. They need both.
Right. So let's look at these 3 points. Yes, we have to create a new job. We are creating a new job. Language coach. Blended learning needs blended coaches.
Absolutely.
Okay. And that is all boils down to the recognition of the type of learner you are. And I hope that we are able to do that, the recognition of it. And so adults and student language training, we can talk about blended learning. And for necessary communication, the one-to-one is still very much topical. And you create a specific relation with the learner.
Well, each learner is different. Each learner is unique. So it's my job to understand their needs, their way of learning, if they're more visual, if they're more auditive, if they're shy or they're not, the nature of their job and their expectations. So each person is different. So my role as a teacher coach is to really catch what they need.
Okay, so is this our conclusion? Do you remember, Meg, when we were so thrilled that we could actually use the third conditional without blinking an eyelid?
If I had known.
And we were so very, very proud of ourselves. This is what we're trying to get you guys, all our clients. And it's important that you notice that we are there. We believe in blended. We know that it's ROI. But on top of that, I always like the analogy of playing tennis, because I actually do play tennis. I really would like to improve my top spin on my backhand. Well, if I don't practice, no chance.
That's right.
No chance. So it's more or less the same thing. And I'm going to invite you all. Thank you for following us. I'm sure you're extremely hungry now. So I'm going to let you get off. But would you please answer the following questions on our really, really quick survey? And really feel free to contact me. I think you've got my email. And looking forward maybe to be talking to you on behalf of the Cité des Langues IFG to maybe tackle a different subject at a later date. But there we go. So please contact, and would you please fill in the survey, which is to follow. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Look after yourselves. Bye.
Bye.